This episode is brought to you by LifeLock. It's Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and LifeLock has tips to protect your identity. Use strong passwords, set up multi-factor authentication, report phishing, and update the software on your devices. And for comprehensive identity protection, let LifeLock alert you to suspicious uses of your personal information. LifeLock also fixes identity theft, guaranteed or your money back. Stay smart, safe, and protected with a 30-day free trial at lifelock.com/podcast. Terms apply.
This episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. Healthcare professionals can lead their careers with LinkedIn. Discover jobs by specialty, preferred shifts, and even desired salary. From mental health therapists to radiology technicians, it's now faster and easier for healthcare professionals to find the right fit. Learn more at linkedin.com/healthcare. Side effects may include faster job placement, improved work-life balance, and increased career satisfaction.
Well, hello, Peter. It's good to be live with you.
It is good to be live with you too. Although, never mind. I won't go there.
So we have a special episode today for the Inside Job Boards and Recruitment Marketplaces podcast. Peter reached out to me earlier today and told me about not just one, not just two, but three pieces of breaking news from our friends at Careerbuilder. Peter, want to walk us through what the AIM Group is reporting on today?
Sure. It came as a surprise, but absolutely no surprise at all. Apollo Global has been selling off Careerbuilder in parts for years. And today they announced, number one, that they have sold their international job sites. And I can get into more detail in a minute. Number two, they have not announced, but there are layoffs at Careerbuilder. We have seen somebody posted on LinkedIn said 60%. Somebody else posted, told us that that's wildly exaggerated and it's only in the hundreds. Either way, layoffs at Careerbuilder. And last but not least, the CEO who took over in 2001 is leaving as of Friday, and a VP, Jeff Furman, is taking over as CEO. There are not many parts left to be sold off. There's Broadbean in the UK, and there's Careerbuilder in the US / nominally in Canada.
Okay.
But it's pretty much gone. Apollo Global and the Ontario Teachers Pension Fund bought it in, let's look up the date. They bought it in 2017 for about $500 million. It had been anticipated a few months earlier that it would sell for $1 billion. Obviously, that didn't happen. What we hear is that Apollo Global and the Ontario Teachers Pension Fund have just made out like bandits in this deal, 4, 5, 6, 7x on their investment, which strikes me as entirely believable. And there's not much left of Careerbuilder, frankly. It's a shame because it was a number one job board in the U.S. for several years. My friend Rob Montgomery, who took over from Rob McGovern as CEO, told me at one point that he had a 2-word goal for Careerbuilder, which was beat Monster. And he did. And he beat Monster for several years.
If that's the KPI and you accomplished it.
He absolutely did. Revenue and in traffic and in all those other ways, he beat Monster. And then Gannett, convoluted, long story short, Gannett took over, and Gannett, being a sagging, to be charitable newspaper, not failing newspaper company, disastrous newspaper company, crappy newspaper company. Let's be honest about it. Really crummy newspaper company, was just grabbing all the cash it possibly could from Careerbuilder, wouldn't invest, and as a result, Careerbuilder was sold for half of what it probably 1/5 of what it was worth at one point, or maybe even less than that.
Yeah.
And since then, it's been sold for parts. They've sold off a whole bunch of their acquisitions. I can run through the list, but I'll shut up for a minute and let you talk about CareerBuilder from your perspective.
Yeah. So one thing to add, and then I have a couple of questions for you. I was told 5-6 years ago, maybe even 7 now. I think it was roughly 2016, 2017. By somebody who needs to go unnamed, but you and I both know this person. This person is in charge of acquisitions for a pretty major player that is in our space, and they had been approached by CareerBuilder, and they went out and looked at it. The dollars were right, but when they did the under the hood analysis of the technology, the word that he described it as was crappy. And I don't know the details on that, whether that was like the job board component or all these various businesses that they had kind of tacked onto it. And some of them, I think even at that time, like TextKernel, they were in the process of selling off. But a couple questions for you. A minute ago, you had said that the CEO had been there since 2001.
No, I'm sorry.
Which was it? I think you said 2001.
Sue Arthur was 2020-21. She took over.
Okay.
And before her, there was Irina Novoselsky, and Rob McGovern really was the guy who made the company what it was when CareerBuilder was great. I mean, no two ways about that.
Yeah. And then the other question, and this is something that, in AIM Group and your role at AIM Group, I think it's reflected in the recruitment intelligence report that is published on your site today, was a mention of some of these business units that they had sold off. And you just mentioned Broadbean in the UK. So that's something that my memory on that is vague. Is Broadbean in the US different than Broadbean in the UK? Are they separate companies?
No, Broadbean is based in the UK.
Okay.
They are UK-based company, and they're both in the US and UK and perhaps other countries as well.
Okay.
But in their acquisition phase, they bought Economic Modeling Specialists International, EMSI.
Yeah.
They bought Broadbean. They bought Oracle, vendor of background screening software. They bought Workterra from 2012 to 2016. And then in 2017, when it was sold, they started selling EMSI. They sold it in 2018. In 2019, they named a new CFO amid reports of executive turmoil and fears the company is trying to prep everything to chop up and sell. Well, that was not fears, that was accurate.
Hey, this is William Tinka. Listen, we did a series for iSolved called Heroes of HR, where we talk to HR practitioners. And these are just your run-of-the-mill, everyday, slogging it out, 300 employees in Cedar Rapids, HR pros. Mostly it's centered around iSolved and what they do with iSolved, but also they talk a lot about kind of the day-to-day rigor of HR. If you're curious about that, search for Heroes of HR wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you.
CareerBuilder Employment Screening, CBES, formerly Oracle, was sold. Carriera.gr, they're the guys who bought the international businesses. The international businesses are doing 30 million euros a year in revenue. And apparently, my guess is that it sold for at least 1x revenue, probably closer to 2. That's strictly a guess. Don't have any accurate information. And they're great guys, Theo and two brothers who are the investors, and they'll probably turn them into very increasingly solid businesses. We are running close to out of time, so what else do you want to ask me real quick?
the papers are hitting your microphone, I think. So
Oh,
hopefully
sorry.
people were able to hear that. The buyers of the international business, from reading the report today, it looked to me like they're the owners of the number 2 job board in Greece. Is that?
They are the numbers. They are owners of Carriera.gr. I think it's number 1, but I'd have to reread our
Okay.
alert that we sent out to clients. And they are going to create Carriera Group with 30 offices, offices in 10 cities, more than 300 employees, and consolidated turnover approaching 30 million euros.
Okay. This, this sounds to me, and just for my 2 cents worth, this sounds to me like a customer acquisition strategy, that they're not buying Careerbuilder for the brand, the office space, the technology, as much as they're buying it for the customers. They may use the brand, they likely will use the offices, but when I see stuff like this that's sort of on the clearance rack, and it's a relatively smaller company buying what was formerly a larger company, a lot of times I think the attraction there is customers, that they're going to instantly gain access to enterprise level customers all through Europe and beyond.
Well, I don't know, and we're interviewing Theo on Friday, and we
Yeah.
should know better after that, and we'll put it out for our clients. But the upshot is, these are probably decent going businesses that haven't seen any investment, that have been run on the cheap, because everything on Careerbuilder has been run on the cheap for a while.
Yeah.
And Theo, probably running Carriera in Greece, said, I can take these over and substantially strengthen them. And I'm guessing that it was a very decent acquisition price.
Yeah.
And he'll probably make them much stronger and better than Careerbuilder, which has been sold off for parts. There are very few parts left to sell off.
Right.
And
They're going to knock the rust off, and they're going to try to get that car back on the road, performing well. It doesn't need to be what it used to be. They can build a good business. They can resurrect this business without having to return it to its former self. Because
I think you're mistaking the European businesses, some of which have been fairly strong, for the US, which, has been in a downward spiral for a long time. So the European businesses have been rocking along, and, with 30 million euros in revenue, that's not huge. Certainly it's not on the order of LinkedIn or Indeed, but with 30 million euros in revenue, that's substantive, and my guess is it can be strengthened fairly quickly, I don't want to say easily, because nothing's ever easy, but with some good solid management, some investment, and somebody who's in Europe running the show with good experience, I think they'll probably have a much better business than they have had until now.
Great way of wrapping up. Peter, thank you so much. For those who want more information, subscribe to the AIM Group's recruitment intelligence report at aimgroup.com. That's where I saw it, in addition to our call today. And we will be back tomorrow, Thursday, May 18th, with our interview of Chris Russell about Google for Jobs. Thanks a lot, Peter.
Thanks, sir. Take care. Bye-bye.